Have you ever stopped to consider what invisible waves are constantly traveling through the air around us, connecting distant points, especially in parts of the world you might not expect? Today, we're taking a deep dive into the surprisingly active and, well, resilient world of medium wave radio broadcasting, specifically across the Middle East and Caucasus as of summer 2025.
Right. And our insights for this deep dive, they come from a highly specialized guide. It's meticulously compiled by Tony Rogers for the British DX Club, updated just this month, June 15, 2025.
The DX Club, for those maybe not familiar.
Yes, they're basically enthusiasts, people who specialize in long-distance radio reception. And what's insightful here is how this guide, it isn't just a list. It's more like a living snapshot of active frequencies, powerful transmitters, and the diverse purposes these broadcasts still serve.
Okay.
It really lets us see the dynamic, often overlooked landscape of radio in a region that's, well, incredibly complex and deeply interconnected.
So our mission today is to sort of pull back the curtain. We want to reveal the surprising facts, the strategic uses, the cultural significance maybe of these medium wave signals. We want to give you a shortcut to being well-informed about a vital communication channel that, for many, often flies completely under the radar. Get ready for some aha moments, because this older technology, it has some very modern implications. It's a natural question I think many listeners will have. Why, in our hyper-connected digital age, is medium wave radio still so robust? Why is it still so active?
Well, that's a great question. Medium wave, you see, offers a unique blend of robustness and reach, things that newer technologies sometimes just can't match.
Right. Like what specifically?
Well, it can cover vast distances, and it penetrates diverse terrains much more reliably than, say, a typical FM signal.
Yeah.
It's also less reliant on complex, maybe vulnerable infrastructure.
Ah, I see. And harder to block, you mentioned.
Yes, potentially harder to block than internet-based communications. So if we connect this to the bigger picture, what we see across the Middle East and Caucasus is this fascinating mix. You've got state broadcasters, international relays, specialized services, all still heavily using this older yet incredibly reliable technology.
Okay, so with that understanding of medium wave's unique advantages, let's embark on our tour of the airwaves. We can reveal how each nation leverages, or in some cases, surprisingly, maybe doesn't use this enduring technology.
Exactly.
We'll see surprising resilience, strategic shifts, maybe even some quiet zones. Let's start in Armenia, which perhaps unexpectedly acts as a significant hub for international broadcasts.
That's right. Although it's worth noting, Public Radio of Armenia, or Hayastani Hanrahan Radio, did actually cease its medium wave service back on September 10, 2024. That was confirmed by Andrei Molokov and Alex Myatlikov, known Russian radio enthusiasts.
Okay, so the public broadcaster is off MW, but Armenia still plays a role.
Oh, a crucial role. AR Radio Intercontinental operates incredibly powerful transmitters from Gavar, near Naradas. We're talking 1,000 kilowatts.
1,000, wow.
Yeah, a massive signal. Gives them a reach that spans thousands of miles, and these are primarily used by Trans World Radio, TWR, for broadcasts across the Middle East, West and Central Asia, and even Ukraine.
Right. And you mentioned a frequency change.
Yes. Notably, TWR's programs that were on 864 kilohertz, they moved to 1,377 kilohertz on January 1st, 2025.
And TWR's programming on these powerful frequencies, it sounds quite diverse.
It is. On 1,350 kilohertz, they broadcast daily in Arabic. And on the 1377 kilohertz frequency, you'll hear a variety of languages: Turkmen, Kazakh, Karakalpak, Persian.
Interesting. And you mentioned Ukraine, too.
Yes, and what's particularly clever there is for the Ukrainian program, they actually perform a beam change at 1930 UTC. That's Coordinated Universal Time.
Like redirecting the signal.
Exactly. They literally redirect the signal to focus it more precisely on their Ukrainian audience. Quite sophisticated, really.
That is clever. And there's another player there, too, right? Radio CJSC.
Yes, it's also worth highlighting Radio CJSC. It's the privately held successor to the historic Naradas radio station, established way back in 1965 near Lake 7.
And it's big.
Oh, it's one of the largest and best-equipped stations from the former USSR era. Its main campus spans a remarkable 1,760 acres. Huge site.
That broad reach is truly impressive. And what about the actual content being broadcast on these frequencies, say on 1,395 kilohertz, also from Gavar? That's 500 kilowatts.
Right. On 1,395 kilohertz, Radio CJSC carries daily NHK World Japan in Persian. Then there's usually a music filler, followed by Adventist World Radio in Arabic.
Okay. But the guide highlights something particularly intriguing for Armenia, something irregular.
Yes, Tony Rogers himself observed an irregular, very brief broadcast of Radio Arena in Tigrinya. This signal runs for just 14 minutes, from 1745 to 1759 UTC.
Tigrinya, that's spoken in Eritrea and Ethiopia.
Correct. And it appears to be a feed from its shortwave broadcast. It kind of hints at the clandestine, maybe strategic uses of these powerful medium wave signals, sometimes picking up feeds just to extend reach or maybe overcome local interference.
Fascinating. So from all that vibrant activity, it's quite striking then to turn to countries like Azerbaijan and Lebanon, where the medium wave airwaves are, well, currently silent.
That's right. Azerbaijan Radio Su and Radio Lebanon, as far as we know from the guide, currently have no known medium wave stations on air.
Which really prompts a crucial question, doesn't it? What factors might lead a country to completely cease medium wave broadcasting, while others, like Armenia or Iran, maintain such a robust presence?
It's a complex calculation, likely involving cost, politics, audience needs, and alternative media availability.
Okay. Now, in stark contrast, let's look at Bahrain. Their medium wave presence seems clear and consistent.
Yes, the Bahrain Radio and Television Corporation, BRTC, its government-owned public broadcaster, operates two 24-hour Arabic services from Abu Hayyan.
And those are...
You'll find Quran Kareem on 612 kilohertz. That's a powerful 100-kilowatt signal focusing on Islamic content.
Yeah.
And then there's Bahrain Radio on 801 kilohertz, smaller power, 5-kilowatt, broadcasting news and general programs.
Okay. Now, as we continue our sort of westward journey on this radio map, the situation in Georgia offers another facet centered around its public broadcaster, GPB, in Tbilisi.
But the truly significant medium wave story in that region, recently anyway, lies with Abkhazia. It's a partially recognized state.
Right, and their radio service.
Abkhaz Radio, or Apsur Radio, has broadcast from Sukhumi since 1992 in Abkhaz, Georgian, and Russian. For many years, it used medium wave 1350 kilohertz.
But not anymore.
No, its transmitter developed a fault. The signal started drifting, became poorly modulated, and eventually it went completely silent after early December 2021.
Interesting. Did anything else happen around then?
Well, interestingly, its shortwave frequency, 91035 variable kilohertz, was heard again around the same time after a period of silence, suggesting there might have been a correlation between the two issues. Maybe they shifted resources or focus.
Okay. Now let's pivot to Iran, which truly stands out as a medium wave powerhouse.
Oh, absolutely. Islamic Republic of Iran Broadcasting, IRAB, holds a monopoly on domestic radio and TV. And they operate an incredibly vast number of medium wave transmitters.
How vast?
Well, they operate several national stations. Radio Iran, their main national channel, uses 558 kilohertz with many powerful transmitters, some reaching up to 600 kilowatts.
600 kilowatts, that's huge.
It is. Then there's Radio Farhang, focusing on culture, on 585 kilohertz. That one's a massive 1,000 kilowatt signal.
1,000,000 watts.
Yep. They also have Radio Quran on 900 kilohertz, Radio Mi'aref for religion and ethics on 1071, and Radio Payam, which offers news, talk, music on 1188 kilohertz. Payam even divides its broadcast day into distinct morning, noon, and evening sections.
And beyond these national channels, you mentioned provincial stations.
Yes, they're very active too, producing programs in Persian and local languages like Azeri, Kurdish, Kalaki, and they often relay the nationwide network at night, sharing a common 90-minute program called Shafai Iran.
Which means Iran Nights.
Exactly. But the real scale of Iran's commitment to medium wave becomes evident when you look at the IRIB World Service, also known as PARS today. That's their official international broadcasting network.
Okay, and how does that manifest on medium wave?
They operate on a vast number of medium wave frequencies using high-power transmitters dotted all across the country. They broadcast in over a dozen languages, strategically targeting populations across the Middle East, Caucasus, Central Asia. It's extensive.
Can you give us some examples?
Sure. Their 576 kilohertz signal from Bandar-e Mashar at 300 kilowatts delivers Arabic programming 247 to the Persian Gulf and southern Iraq. Another example, 720 kilohertz from Taibad, 400 kilowatts, sends Tajik programming to Afghanistan and Tajikistan, and Dari to western Afghanistan.
So clearly targeting specific neighbors and regions.
Absolutely. The guide details many more, like 639 kilohertz from Bonab, broadcasting Kurdish and Turkish for audiences in Turkey and Kurdistan. Or a powerful 600 kilowatt transmitter from Chabahar on 765 kilohertz aimed at Pakistan with Urdu, various Arabic-speaking areas like the UAE and East Africa, and even India with Hindi.
It's a truly comprehensive approach, isn't it? Reaching specific linguistic and regional communities far beyond their borders.
Precisely. It underscores a very clear intent. They also use under 98 kilohertz from Zabul for Afghanistan and Pakistan, 1161 from Qasri Shirin for West Asia Arab countries, 1224 from Kish Island for the Gulf again, 1323 from Jolfa for the Caucasus, 1449 from Bandari Turkmen for Central Asia. The list goes on.
Now, one of the most striking examples of medium wave strategic use seems to come from Iran, with broadcasts like the Voice of Palestine, Voice of the Islamic Palestinian Revolution.
Yes, that's a notable one listed in the guide. This program, it's in Arabic, originates from Iran and, as the name suggests, openly supports Palestinian groups.
And it's been heard recently.
It was observed on November 20, 2023, by Dave Kernick. He picked it up on 1224 kilohertz with clear reception using a Qatar-based WebSDR.
Oh, WebSDR, that's a software-defined radio you can access online, right?
Exactly. He also noted it poorly on 765 kilohertz, probably due to interference from a co-channel Saudi Quran program, two stations trying to use the same frequency.
Right.
And this broadcast, it's also streamed on Arab's Arabic service website.
Here's where it gets really interesting, doesn't it? This broadcast really demonstrates how medium wave can be a direct platform for specific political or, well, ideological messaging across borders.
Yeah.
And it's important we state we are simply reporting on the existence and content of this broadcast, as described in our sources, not endorsing any particular viewpoint.
Absolutely. That's crucial context. Now, moving over to Iraq, the situation is quite different. The Iraqi media network's Republic of Iraq Radio seems to rely mostly on FM now.
So very little medium wave left.
Just one, apparently. A single medium wave transmitter remains operational, broadcasting 24 hours in Arabic from Baghdad on 792 kilohertz, and it's only 10 kilowatts.
Quite low power compared to Iran.
Very low power, yes.
Yeah.
And it's also noteworthy that their shortwave broadcasting stopped even before the fall of the Saddam Hussein regime.
Okay, now let's look at Israel and Jordan, where we see these fascinating examples of medium wave reactivations. In Israel, Khan operates state broadcasting, and their army radio, Galad Zahal, or Galatz, had actually stopped using medium wave back in July 2015.
Right. But this is where it gets particularly interesting. In December 2023, two transmitters were reactivated. One is on 945 kilohertz from Yavne, that's 100 kilowatts.
Okay.
And the other is on 1287 kilohertz from Akko at 50 kilowatts. Both are broadcasting 24 hours in Hebrew.
Which really raises that crucial question again, doesn't it? Why would a nation reactivate a technology they had previously phased out? What does that tell us about their assessment of its current strategic value?
Exactly. It suggests a perceived need for that kind of broad, reliable reach that maybe other technologies weren't fulfilling in that specific context, perhaps related to security or reaching all segments of the population. Interestingly, another station, Voice of Hope Middle East, which was inaugurated in March 2017 on that same 1287 frequency, has actually been off-air since early 2020, so it's a dynamic situation.
Very dynamic. And similarly, Jordan also shows a return to the airwaves. The Jordan Radio and Television Corporation, JRTC, operates Radio Jordan's main Arabic program.
That's right. Its single medium wave transmitter on 612 kilohertz, 100 kilowatts in Showback, was reactivated on January 1st, 2022. It had been off-air since late October 2021, and now it's back, broadcasting 24 hours in Arabic.
Okay. Kuwait, in contrast, offers a very diverse spectrum and even hosts some significant international relays. Radio of the State of Kuwait provides quite a variety of services on medium wave.
They really do. They have their main Arabic program on 540 kilohertz, a very strong 600 kilowatt signal, and also on 963 kilohertz overnight. Their Holy Quran program is on 630 kilohertz and 1341 kilohertz overnight.
But it's the variety that stands out.
Yes. What's notable about Kuwait is the range of niche services. You've got Easy FM in English, a Persian service, Radio Pinoy for Filipino expatriates, RK Urdu, and a Hindi service, all heard on 963 kilohertz at different times of the day.
Catering to guest workers in different communities?
Precisely. And there's also a dedicated Radio Kuwait international channel on 11134 kilohertz.
And for international relays, Kuwait hosts a big U.S. station.
Yes, the USAGM Kuwait George Amor Jr. transmitting station at al-Rumam. It was inaugurated back in 2003. This powerful station relays Radio Farda in Persian into Iran on 1548 kilohertz using 600 kilowatts.
Radio Farda, that's the U.S.-funded service.
Correct. It replaced Radio Sawa on that frequency in mid-2023. Though it's important to note, Radio Farda transmissions may well be subject to Iranian jamming attempts.
Right, that makes sense. Okay, how about Oman?
Oman, through its Sultanate of Oman Radio, broadcasts its general Arabic program very widely. not just across Oman itself, but also reaching the Middle East, South Asia, and East Africa.
So powerful transmitters there too.
Yes, multiple medium wave transmitters with significant power. For instance, 603 kilohertz from Badia and 1242 kilohertz from Barqa. Both are 500 kilowatts, and they're all broadcasting 24 hours in Arabic.
And there's a BBC presence as well?
There is. The BBC Eastern Relay Station on 1413 kilohertz, located in Asila. It's a massive 800 kilowatts.
And 800, what does it broadcast?
It broadcasts in Dari, English, and Pashto, targeting Afghanistan, the Middle East, West Asia, and South Asia at various times of the day. So a really key relay point for the BBC World Service.
Okay. Qatar Media Corporation, their public broadcaster, seems to maintain a single but very powerful medium wave voice.
That's right. Just one transmitter, but it's strong. It's on 675 kilohertz in Al-Arish, broadcasting 24 hours in Arabic at 600 kilowatts.
600 kilowatts again. Impressive. Now, Saudi Arabia, they seem to maintain an extensive network, especially for national and religious content.
They do. The Saudi Broadcasting Authority, SBA, which is rebranded a few times over the years, operates a very extensive network.
And high power seems to be the theme.
Definitely. What's particularly striking here is the sheer number and power of these transmitters, especially for religious and national programming like Radio Riyadh and Holy Quran Radio. It indicates a very strong commitment to broad, reliable coverage.
Can you give us an example of that power?
Sure. Radio Riyadh broadcasts on 594 kilohertz from Duba at an immense 2,000 kilowatts.
2,000 kilowatts?
Yes, 2 million watts. And 648 kilohertz from Jeddah is also 2,000 kilowatts. Holy Quran Radio is on 1,512 kilohertz from Jeddah at 1,000 kilowatts. This scale really highlights their dedication to reaching their entire population and, well, probably beyond.
Unbelievable power levels. Now, in Syria, Ortes is the state broadcaster, Radio Damascus its main service. But the situation there has dramatically changed recently.
Indeed. According to the latest observations in the guide, all medium wave transmitters in Syria now appear to be inactive.
All of them.
Seems so. Specifically, Radio Damascus on 567 kilohertz from Adra, which was 300 kilowatts, hasn't been observed since just before the fall of the Assad regime on December 7th or 8th, 2024.
And what's on that frequency now?
Observers noted that Romania has actually been heard coming in on that frequency now that Damascus is silent.
Wow. And other Syrian stations?
Other stations like Voice of Youth on 666 kilohertz, Syrian Foreign Radio on 783, and Elno Radio on 2071, that was a pro-Hezbollah station relayed from Lebanon. They're all presumed inactive on medium wave as well. A complete silence, it seems.
A stark change. Okay, let's turn to Turkey. The national public broadcaster, TRT, Turkish Radio and Television Corporation, still maintains a significant regional reach on medium wave, doesn't it?
Yes. TRT operates several regional services. You have Çukurova Radyosu on 630 kilohertz, and Talya Radyosu on 891, Trabzon Radyosu on 954, Radio GAP on 162.
And these are general Turkish language services?
Mostly, yes. Broadcasting in Turkish, typically for specific hours during the day, like Zoe 700 to 1300 or 1305 UTC, not usually 24 hours.
And there's a U.S. military presence, too?
Yes, American Forces Network, Europe, AFN Incirlik at Incirlik Air Base. They continue to state they broadcast on 1590 AM, which might actually be 1593 kilohertz. It's very low power, though, likely just for local military personnel on the base.
Got it. Now, the United Arab Emirates, we heard their presence has reduced considerably in recent years.
It has. It's interesting, actually. Only 2 stations seem to be currently on air, according to the guide.
Only 2? What are they?
First is the Milan Broadcasting Service's Holy Quran Radio on 846 kilohertz. It broadcasts 24 hours in Arabic at 20 kilowatts, and it's been running since September 2006.
Okay, a religious station. And the other?
The other is Radio Karalam 1476. It's specifically for Malayalam-speaking expatriates, broadcasting on 1476 kilohertz at 100 kilowatts from Ras Al Khaimah. That commenced full service back in September 2022.
So a religious service and an expatriate service. That really raises an important question, doesn't it? Why might the UAE scale back its general medium wave presence while keeping these specific targeted services?
It suggests a strategic choice, perhaps focusing resources where medium wave offers a unique advantage reaching specific communities that might be large but dispersed, or for content like religious broadcasts where tradition and wide accessibility are key. Notably, the really powerful Dabaya medium wave transmitters in Abu Dhabi are currently inactive.
Interesting shift in strategy. Finally, let's look at Yemen. The Yemen General Corporation for Radio and TV is controlled by the Houthi Supreme Political Council. What's the medium wave situation there?
Well, at the national level, there appear to be no transmitters operating on medium wave at the current time. Complete silence from the national broadcaster on MW.
But maybe some local activity.
Possibly. Sayan Radio, which is in Hadramaut Governorate, does mention on its website that listeners can follow its broadcast on Mediumwave AM 837 kilohertz, 24 hours in Arabic. It claims to reach a number of directorates and neighboring governorates.
So it suggests some local medium wave activity might still exist, even if national broadcasts are off.
Exactly. It's hard to verify externally sometimes, but the claim is there.
Okay. So we've toured the region. If we try to connect all these individual country examples, what's the bigger picture? What patterns emerge about why medium wave still matters?
Well, if we connect it all, what we've really seen is a compelling illustration of medium wave's unique strategic value, even today.
Oh, so?
First, its resilience and reach. That ability to cover vast distances, penetrate varied terrains. It makes it indispensable where internet or FM might be unreliable or simply inaccessible.
Right, a fundamental technical advantage.
Exactly. Second, it's clearly still a geopolitical instrument, a tool for projecting national influence, sharing religious messages, even providing political support across borders. Iran's extensive international services are maybe the most dramatic example of that.
And reaching specific groups.
Yes. Thirdly, it's vital for niche and minority services. Many countries use it to reach specific linguistic or ethnic groups, including those important expatriate communities, ensuring vital information and cultural content gets to them.
And finally, it's constantly changing, isn't it?
Absolutely. That's a fourth point. The dynamic landscape, the constant shift stations going silent, reactivating moving frequencies. It all highlights the fluid nature of broadcasting and the very deliberate strategic decisions nations make about using or not using this technology.
The fact that the British DX Club guides need such quick updates really speaks to that dynamism.
It's a testament to it, yes.
Yeah.
Things don't stand still on the medium wave bands in this region.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? I guess it means that even in our hyper-connected world, the humble medium wave radio continues to play this significant, often invisible role in shaping communication and culture in a really vital region of the globe. That was a truly insightful deep dive, I think, into the surprisingly active world of medium wave radio in the Middle East and Caucasus. We really uncovered layers of communication you might never have considered.
It really underscores the adaptability, doesn't it? The adaptability of broadcasting technologies and the diverse, enduring reasons why nations and organizations continue to invest in the reach of medium wave.
So as you reflect on this deep dive, here's something to consider. In an age where we often assume information flows freely, instantly through fiber optics and satellites, what does the continued strategic importance of an older technology like medium wave radio really tell us? What does it say about the enduring value of broadcast accessibility? And maybe, what does it imply about the digital divide, or perhaps the strategic vulnerabilities of relying solely on modern networks, especially when you need to reach diverse populations, or maybe influence narratives across borders?